Let's see Wordsworth's view about the poet. Wordsworth emphasizes the social function of poetry. A poet writes not for his pleasure alone, but for the pleasure of his readers. A poet differs from an ordinary individual not in nature, but in degree. He is a man who has greater and more lively sensibility, greater power of imagination, greater knowledge of human nature, a more comprehensive soul, so that he can sympathize and feel for others, greater zest for life, and greater powers of communication. The poet communicates not only personally felt emotions but also emotions which has not directly experienced. He should try to achieve identification with his characters to make his language more lively and forceful. Now, poetic pleasure and poetic truth. The purpose of poetry is to give pleasure, and with this end in view, the poet should use a language purified of all that is disgusting and painful. Poetic pleasure is not a mere idle amusement, it is much higher and nobler. Poetic truth is much higher than the truth of philosophy or history. Poetry is the most philosophical of all writing. Poetry gives pleasure because it imitates nature well. It increases our knowledge and understanding of the primary nature of man. It arouses our sympathy and it makes us perceive the essential identity of man and nature. Now, coming to Wordsworth's view on nature. Wordsworth justifies the use of meter and condemns once again the use of poetic diction. Meter is something regular and uniform, while poetic diction is arbitrary. The poet himself has used meter for a number of reasons. Meter is an additional source of pleasure. In using meter, he has simply followed tradition. Meter can give pleasure even without the use of poetic diction, even when the language is simple and naked. Meter has a restraining and tempering effect on the flow of emotion and passion. It tempers and softens the painful and the pathetic. It imparts passions to the words and so increases emotional intensity. And the use of meter provides the element of contrast and the perception of similarity in dissimilarity always gives pleasure. The poetic process. There are four stages through which poetic composition takes place: observation, recollection, contemplation, imaginative excitement of the emotions which were experienced earlier. His theory of poetry, if there is one, has to be extracted from three documents: the advertisement to lyrical ballads, the preface to lyrical ballads, and the appendix on poetic diction. The Lyrical Ballads was published in 1798 with a small notice in the form of advertisement. In the second edition, that is published in 1800, Wordsworth added a preface. And in the 1802 edition, the preface was enlarged and revised. No change was made in 1805, but in the 1815 volume, an entirely new preface appeared, and the old one was replaced at the end as appendix. The preface explains the aims and objectives of Romanticism and gives a definite direction and significance to the Romantic movement. It records Wordsworth's views on poetry, poetic diction, and theme. Though it raised a great controversy, no poet of the Romantic generation could escape the force of its call for a poetic reinterpretation of the world. The preface asserts that all good poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. The most controversial part of the preface is probably that which deals with poetic diction. It invites fierce criticism from many, especially from Coleridge. Coleridge points out that many apparently illogical, self contradictory, and irrational statements in the preface. He also asserts that Wordsworth himself has violated in practice the principles of poetic composition that he advocates. T.S. Eliot objects to Wordsworth's view on poetic creation. But no one can deny the significance of the preface in the history of English literary criticism, as it raised a wall between the 18th and 19th centuries. So, here ends our class on the preface of lyrical ballads. Next, as usual, we move on to our grammar class, Module 7 Basic Grammar Reported Speech. Today, I am discussing on the rules for reporting exclamatory sentences. Reporting verbs like wondered, exclaimed, surprised, etc. are used while reporting exclamatory sentences. The boy said, "What a wonderful day." The boy exclaimed that it was a wonderful day. If there are interjections like oh, alas, they are to be replaced by expressions like with joy, with sorrow, etc. For example, the boy cried, "Oh, we have won." The boy cried with joy that they had won. The conjunction that should be used after the reporting verb. The man said, "Alas, he is dead." The man cried with sorrow that he was dead. So, here comes an end to our class on reported speech. See you on next class. Bye.